Hey, welcome back, everyone. We're in another episode of In the Community with Dr. Matt. And we have a special guest today, Margaret Wallis-Duffy. Hey, Margaret.
Hey, Matt, how are you?
Good. It's a pleasure to have you on.
Thanks for having me. I'm excited to be
Yeah.
here.
So I thought we'd touch base with Margaret again. And she's actually one of our sponsors for our Ronald McDonald House fundraiser Step Challenge here. And she donated a prize, and she's really involved in the community. You may recognize her from her TV show on Cogeco, and as well her podcast. But Margaret, let's chat a little bit today. We had a couple of ideas in the pre-show that we were going to share with everybody. What's going on there? What's happening? You want to fill us in?
Sure. So first of all, I hope everybody's doing well and staying safe. And Matt, I love coming on to chat with you. We have so much in common. We both absolutely love to be connected to our community. And I think right now there's never been a time more important than to stay connected when we're not in our clinics. So for those of you that don't know who I am, I own Wallace for Wellness. It's an integrative health clinic that's been in operation. We actually celebrated virtually at 28 years in business on April the
Wow.
6th. Yeah,
Congratulations.
thank you. I think the foundation of Wallace for Wellness has always been about empowering people to play a more active role and become the CEO of their health and their life. And that kind of stems from my own story. All of us have a story. Many of us don't look like that story. I certainly, from a very young age, went misdiagnosed for a very long time and was very sick and saw the impact that medicine can have on us. And don't get me wrong, I'm a big advocate of healthcare here in Canada. We're very blessed to live where we do, but there was a real missing piece in my story, and that is that it can't just be a pill for an ill, wait till it's broken and try to patch people back together. We need to be more proactive instead of reactive.
Yep.
We need to be more integrative in the way we work, which is, I truly believe in collaboration over competition. So after, my story of 10 surgeries, 4 bowel obstructions, a lung collapse, Matt, I had a poop transplant like on Grey's
Wow.
Anatomy. My
Wow.
son was my donor, right?
Yeah.
I almost died from a hospital-borne infection from C. difficile. And one of the things I'm passionate about is education and sharing my story. And that's how I've not only have built my business, but also built my media company, which is really committed to educating and empowering and inspiring people to live well at every age and stage of life. So having opportunities like this to connect with you and to collaborate and to elevate one another in the work that we're doing so that we can help everyday people live well
Yeah.
is so, so important. And I'm so passionate about it.
That's the awesome part. So tell everyone what your TV show is, what the name of it is.
Well, so it's called and it's morphing. And I just had a call with the producer. I've done a lot of national television. I've been on all the big shows. City Line, I was a regular guest, many of those shows. And then new media, when I opened Wow New Media Inc. over 11 years ago, I started to recognize that what you and I were doing was going to be the future.
Yeah.
And so I've done about 4 years ago, did a recent partnership with Cogeco TV. Let's Just Do This is the name of the podcast. It is going to be morphing into what's called Better Together as One, because we have a big movement that's happening, which I'm sure we'll talk about. But Let's Just Do This is a podcast and television show that plays across Ontario and beyond, and then on all the platforms. Really, the reason I called it that was because I'm sick and tired of being involved in community events or talking to patients in my clinic. And we all talk about what we want to do, right?
Of course.
Hope isn't
Yeah.
a plan. We talk, we
Yeah.
talk, we talk. But I was often on committees and I would leave saying, can we just, let's just
Get
do
going.
this.
Let's just do
Let's
this.
get going.
Yeah.
So it's an action-oriented message, and it's one that should be empowering and one that's designed to say, you don't have to just rely on the healthcare system. It's important, it's there, and we have to, it's good that we have it. But let's just do this. Let's get you becoming the CEO of your health. Let's put you into action by connecting you with people like you
Yes.
that have been on my podcast. I've had world-class educators, doctors, but a holistic look: mental, physical, emotional, spiritual, and financial well-being. And now we're going to be doing it through Zoom,
Of
and we're
course.
morphing into Better Together as One, which is a health movement that I've won an award for in the last few years, the last
Congratulations.
2 years. Thank you. And
Yeah.
Matt, it's not it's the same as you, I'm sure. It's not about the awards, but it's about a platform to reach more people to make a difference.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
And a story, right? And
Yeah.
so the more we can reach out and help people of all ages and stages, look what you're doing. I'm here on this. You give so much to the community. It's important work. Our Better Together is one healthcare team, which is a wide range of healthcare professionals, both from conventional and complementary medicine, that believe in working together.
Yeah.
We just did a webinar, a free webinar on self-care in isolation, coming out of COVID crisis strong. We're working with corporations to do the same sort of thing, because we will get back. We will get through this, but we have to do the work now.
Yeah. And I think it's a good time. Like I've talked about habits, and I'm sure when you're describing self-care to people, it's just a matter of implementing something small they can get up and do and have purpose every single day.
Absolutely. Little
Yeah.
things, they add up. I don't know. I always love to give resources. Have you ever read the book, The Slight Edge, Matt?
No, but I want to hear your story. You finish.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. So anyways, we'll talk about that, but
Yeah.
and for your viewers, The Slight Edge by Jeff Olson, it is a
Yeah.
perfect read right now, because it talks about the little things we do in life, whether it's with your finances, with your relationships, with your health, that add up to major things. Things are easy to do, but just as easy not to do.
Yeah.
And because we're an instant gratification society, we want to lose that 10 pounds yesterday. So if we eat the cheesies today and we don't fuel our body, we don't immediately see the weight gain, but over time you do.
Yeah.
And equally true, when you have those consistent habits, the slight edge principles, lo and behold, a year later, you look back and you say, oh my goodness, I feel better. I'm stronger. Maybe I am lighter. I'm not as heavy as I was. I'm mentally stronger. It makes a difference. So I'm glad that you talk about habits, because it's so important.
Yeah, you know what? I haven't gotten to that book yet, but it sounds very similar. There was another one I was reading, The Compound Effect, by
Yes.
Darren Hardy.
Yes.
And it
Yes.
was just saying that small differences either put you on the downward curve or on the upward swing.
Absolutely. He
Right?
refers to the compound effect in his book. It's a great read. But
Yeah.
it's a simple principle. But, we were just talking before we got on here. The reality is, we can choose in this very difficult, life-changing time to retreat and not do, because some days it's easier to do that. And I'm not going to say you shouldn't have those days, because I'll be honest,
Yeah.
it's been a roller coaster. Both of us are entrepreneurs. We own businesses. There's overhead. There's no revenue. There's the fear of your family. Are they going to be well? All the stuff, right?
100%.
But we make choices. I posted something this morning that I choose courage over fear. And I'm going to continue to do the little things, right? The little thing, even when we don't feel like doing it, so that when we do get out of this crisis, we're going to be ready to face our lives again, in a way that hopefully we're all stronger. And this type of thing that we're doing is so important.
I love it. I think that's huge. I think you kind of wrapped up a lot of what I've been talking about in the last couple of weeks too, and just brought to light some of the things that I forgot that I should be talking about.
Yeah.
So thank you.
Well,
I appreciate that.
that's why we're better together as one, right? We learn from one another. The webinar we did the other day, Dr. Carolyn Teskey, an amazing holistic optometrist here in Georgetown, Dr. Rima Thapar, a medical doctor who's also a yoga instructor, Claire Gavin, a massage therapist and also a life coach, myself, and a wonderful woman named Nancy Brooker from Guelph, who's a chartered accountant and a master life coach. So we looked at all things from financial stress to movement, my background in kinesiology and as a massage therapist. But the neat thing you just touched on, Matt, is that this is why I love this Better Together as One movement. We all learn from one another.
Yeah.
I get to watch you do your thing and I learn. We get to share together and we teach others. Patients and people that showed up to that webinar, many of them, I didn't know who they were. We promoted it online.
Yeah.
We didn't know who they were. We welcome them to this non-judgmental place with like-minded people who just want better for themselves, even in a time like this that's so difficult. And so it's neat to learn from one another. And I think that's why it's so important to do these types of collaborations.
Yeah. And you constantly get little bits of feedback, which help you correct the course.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Gosh.
Exactly. Or change something up, right? Like, watching you do something and I'll think, oh, maybe it's a stretch or maybe it's a workout. And I think, oh, I could do that. Because
there you go.
Sometimes we just get into patterns, right? And we need to switch it up. And
yes,
it's neat to change and challenge your body in different ways. And sometimes you need somebody to keep you accountable or to bring you a new idea, which you're so great at doing.
And the brain likes a little bit of novelty once in a while to keep it interested.
Absolutely. Otherwise we get bored and
bored and stop. That's the potential for that, right? Yeah.
Absolutely.
So I want to touch on your mom, because that was an inspiring story. And I think in terms of the power of the body and what we often forget, and maybe you forget now more. I mean, I want to remind people of the neat part and how your infinite potential.
Yeah. Well, I think we both would agree that we believe you can be better at any age and stage of life if you're willing to roll up your sleeves and do the work, right?
Yeah.
And even when you may have a diagnosis of what that may be, obviously you have to be safe and careful when you're starting anything new. My mom has always been a big inspiration to me. Both my parents. My father passed away 4 years ago, and watching her walk through that loss has been so inspiring. She's just talk about courage. Incredible. But my mom has always been active, and my mom has always, I remember as a kid, she was growing wheat germ and doing yoga and stuff that wasn't in the consciousness of most people. And as a little girl, that made an impression on me. And she
Yeah.
always looked at, meditation and all those things. But my mom, about 3 years ago, was diagnosed shortly after my dad passed with COPD, which is a chronic lung condition. And
Yeah.
of course, in a time like this with COVID, it's a very scary situation. Anybody with an underlying condition, particularly a lung condition, it's of concern. But here's the thing, my mom's attitude, she's 77, and her attitude is, let's get busy. Let's just do this. What am I going to do? Right?
Yeah.
What am I going to do to be accountable for me? And part of it is she's an incredible mother who doesn't want to burden me, which she would never burden me. But she wants to be self-sufficient and independent, don't we all, at any age and stage?
Yeah.
But to do that, you have to do the work. So I remember when she first got her diagnosis, and I don't know if you know this, Matt, but I worked during my undergrad at Waterloo. I worked at St. Mike's Hospital in the summers in
Right.
pulmonary function. So
Okay.
I was doing pulmonary function testing in the sleep lab. So I've learned a lot about lung health, and it was an amazing experience. And one of my dearest friends is in the front lines. I want to give her a shout out. Allison is a respiratory therapist, so she's right in the thick of this. So my heart goes out to those in the front
Thank
lines.
you, Allison.
Yes, thank you, Allison. So anyway, when my mom was diagnosed, the respirologist sort of gave her the whole idea. You've got mild to moderate disease, and it's a degenerative lung disease. So here's the course of action. And you're going to go on these meds, and you're essentially going to progress.
Right.
And I kind of winked at my mom in the corner of the room and said, yeah, okay. I mean, he has to give her the goods. And that is often the case for people. But what if we do a lot on our own to try to improve your lung health? What if we improve your nutrition? What if we make sure she's always eaten well and moved her body? But what if we did a little bit extra? And so that's what we did. And we brought in the resources that we have. This Better Together as One philosophy. And of course, in collaboration with conventional medicine. I am not here to say it's one or the other. I hate the word alternative medicine. I believe we're better together.
Yes.
But she started to walk. And right now in her house mat, in her apartment, she lives in Acton. If she can't go outside because, A, COVID, or B, it's too cold, and with the really wind, it can be hard on her lungs. This woman is unbelievable. She walks her apartment and will send me a text. She's done over 7,000, 8,000 steps inside before 8 a.m.
Wow.
And then she's climbing the stairs, because here's the thing. The respirologist, after one of her first visits, she went back and had her pulmonary function testing, and he said, wow, like, you've improved a little bit. This is interesting. And we kind of chuckled, and he knows who I am. I was talking to him. He goes, so what have you been doing with your mom, and what's happening?
Yeah.
But the one thing he'd asked her, he says, well, what about on stairs? Because of course, people with lung conditions, climbing stairs for most of us can be very difficult. And so he said, well, how are you on the stairs? Well, next thing you know, my mother is stair training. And not only
started going at it, eh?
but not only that, she did the research. There's a particular way all of us should walk upstairs, but certainly people with lung conditions. There's a breathing pattern that you do in order to climb stairs with greater ease. Okay. And my mother had researched it in one of her COPD groups and then started to do it. And now she's improved it. So she's not breathless at the top of stairs. And she's going to be saying, oh my goodness, Marg, you're singing my praises again. But you know what? It's not, and she would agree with this. It's not just about her. She has taught me to always think about how our actions can impact others. And that's why I do what I do. That's why I have a clinic. That's why I have a media company. That's why I do things like this, is to help inspire others that you need to get out of your own way sometimes. You need to do it safely with
Yeah.
your doctor's permission.
Yeah.
You need to do it with healthcare professionals like you and I, and a greater team that can be there to support and educate and be your cheerleader. But that you don't have to say, oh, I'm mailing it in at 77 because I've got a lung condition and that's it. No, you
Yeah.
don't.
That's
No,
amazing.
you don't. It's neat,
Yeah.
eh?
Yeah.
Which is
And I
pretty
think
cool.
it's so important for people to hear those messages, right?
Yes,
Because,
it is.
they give you average, right? And obviously your mom didn't accept average,
That's it. And
right?
you talked about habits, and she didn't start and start climbing staircases over and over again in the early days. She has slowly and steadily, habitually
Worked
increased
into
what
it.
she's doing. Yes, and making sure
Oh,
she's getting enough water, and making sure she's um, resting and getting proper sleep and proper nutrition and
yeah.
supplements that are necessary, and her immune system, all the stuff. But
Bravo.
she's doing it exactly. She's doing
Yeah.
it because she wants to be the CEO of her own health, and she doesn't. And I believe we deserve to until our last breath, which is
Yes.
really the lesson that my father taught me. He died at home, and at 88,
Wow.
he did it his way. But I'll tell you, he'd had cancer. He twice. He'd had a heart attack twice. Uh, but my father always said, "Okay, giddy up, let's go, let's do this. What's
Let's take
next?"
charge. Yeah.
And we're going to live well until we don't. And when it became evident to him that he wasn't going to live well, I swear to you, Matt, I think my dad finally said, "Okay, I'm out." And it didn't take long. Within a month, he was gone.
He didn't want to live like
But that's
that.
a happy story. Yeah, it's a happy
Yeah.
story, right? And I think that's what community is about. I think it's, and what you're doing here
Yeah.
is why I feel so grateful to come on and to support your Ronald McDonald House
Yeah.
charity. It's amazing.
Oh, thanks for being a sponsor, and thanks
My
for being
pleasure.
involved with it, and thanks for sharing your story.
Well, thank you. It's always a
Yeah.
pleasure, and I'm happy to come back. And of course, I want to have you on some of our stuff moving forward, because our communities need to meld. We're better together, and your knowledge is amazing, and I love learning from you.
Likewise. I appreciate that.
You're welcome.
All
How are the
right.
kids? How's the
Oh,
family before you go?
yeah, the kids are doing well. We're just,
Good.
I mean, 2 to 3 hours of our day is spent with the step challenge.
Yeah.
And really, takes about 90 minutes to get our steps in. But what happens is we get sidetracked and end up
Of
exploring
course.
in the forest and everything, right? So it's just an absolute, it's fun. It's fun to do it, right? It's an excuse to get outside, and it gives me lots of purpose this month. So,
Absolutely.
yeah,
I got to start taking my phone and clocking my steps, because I'm
yeah,
walking too. I just haven't been clocking the way I should be.
absolutely.
But we are cheering everyone on, and I love how you're bringing community together in a time like this, and to bring it, which is one of my loves, to bring charity into it, to help raise funds
Yeah.
for an important place
I
like
know
Ronald
they
McDonald
appreciate
House.
it, and the
Oh,
families too. So
yeah,
works out
great
well.
work.
Beautiful. Thank you.
Thank you.
If anybody has any questions for Margaret, please leave them below or private message us or reach out to Margaret. Margaret, what's the best way to reach out to you?
Well, they can follow me on all the social media channels.
Yeah.
Instagram is Wallace for Wellness. On Facebook, Margaret Wallis-Duffy, or Wallace for Wellness as my my clinic.
Yeah.
I'm on Twitter. I'm on LinkedIn. We're revamping our website. Is horrible, of course. Media company
Okay.
of mine is the last to get done. But wallaceforwellness.com. And if they would, I'd love them to subscribe to our One Life magazine online, where you can
Okay.
interact. I hope you're going to write an article for us, or more than one. So if they go to Cluster, KLUSSTER.com,
Right.
type in One Life, and subscribe to the digital magazine. It's an interactive digital magazine. There are regional magazines as well. We've got one in Brampton, one in Hamilton. I want you to be the lead of the one in Georgetown, but the One Life Canada or North America, we've got great content up there, and you can interact and actually connect with the authors and learn to become the CEO of your health.
Neat. I love it. I love
Yeah.
it. Thank you so much. And we'll sign off. We'll say goodbye to everybody, and then we'll go from there. So you guys have a great day. And if you enjoyed, please leave a comment on what you liked. And if you feel so inclined, please share it and help us get the message out there too. So we'll talk to you guys soon. And bye for now.
Bye, everyone.